All right, perfect. Can you see my screen? Let's do this.
No.
There we go. All right. Macros, calories, body composition. So this is going to be really in depth on, like I said, generic weight loss, calories in, calories out, but then it's going to talk about metabolic adaptation. So the purpose of this is to obviously go over, basic definitions of, calories, deficits, maintenance, and all those things. What is total daily energy expenditure, metabolic adaptation, macros, and what to actually focus on in this. Okay. So this is going to be in conjunction with a functional approach, meaning if you're dealing with a gut issue or some type of hormonal complication, this impedes on what I'm about to say. So I think that should be noted. So before we do anything, this is more so, obviously, if you know this already, then this is just pretty much just a summary. But obviously, a calorie is just a unit of energy. All calories is a unit of energy. That's how they're made. So even if it's a Snickers bar or it's chicken breast, a calorie is a calorie. So it's a unit of energy. And so we'll see here is that the things is that you can manipulate calories to get specific body types. Okay. So then there's something called maintenance calories. So this is the number of calories needed to maintain body weight. And you'll get an idea of what that number is. Okay. Because 1 calorie is number one. Okay. So you'll get an idea of that. A calorie deficit is consuming fewer calories than required to maintain body weight, resulting in weight and body fat loss. So calorie deficit is what everyone wants to do when they want to lose weight. But you'll see as we move on that that process can get hindered through years of dieting, yo-yo dieting, and then any type of hormonal dysfunction or even gut dysfunction. Okay, caloric calorie surplus is eating more calories than maintenance needs, leading to weight gain. But in a surplus, you'd want to promote muscle tissue rather than fat tissue. And then metabolism is the collection of chemical processes in the body involving the breakdown and building up of matter. Another is metabolic adaptation. Now, this is key because this is what happens to many people, and that's a change in metabolic rate in response to dietary intake. It occurs when the body adjusts in its metabolism to compensate for a calorie deficit or surplus. So in Paleolithic times, food was scarce, obviously. So what the body would do is that it would want to hold on to fat tissue and kind of just burn muscle tissue. So it's also called catabolic state. And that's a physiological damage that many individuals fall into. Okay. What happens is that they are overly stressed through work, life, kids, relationships, and then they actually don't eat enough food. But since they don't eat enough food, they don't have enough calories, aka energy, inside their body to actually use, you know, biological functions for ATP. So what happens is the body wants to stay in a resourceful state. It doesn't want to burn fat tissue. It wants to burn muscle tissue. So it's called catabolic state. It's metabolic adaptation. And that's where a lot of disease happens. Because the body is malnourished, nutrient deficiencies, okay, all of those things. Energy balance is weight gain and weight loss between obviously calories in, calories out. And then obviously calories in is the number of calories you eat a day. So total daily energy expenditure is also known as maintenance calories. So this is how many calories you burn a day as an individual, meaning every single day I burn X amount of calories. Now, as you see, though, that number will change day to day depending on some of these other parts of the equation, which we'll get into. So let's say, for example, my total daily energy expenditure, meaning that's how many calories I burn a day, is 2,700 calories. Okay. But how I get that number, how I get the 2,700 is based off my basal metabolic rate, my non-exercise activity thermogenesis. We'll get into that. Thermal effective food and exercise activity. Okay. So first of all, What is basal metabolic rate? Basal metabolic rate is how many calories you burn just existing. Just you, if you sat on a couch all day like this, and you would burn X amount of calories. And it actually accounts for 70% of your total daily energy expenditure. So for majority of individuals, their basal metabolic rate is anywhere between 1,100 calories upwards to 1,900 calories. Okay, it's around there. It makes up a portion of your basal metabolic, makes up a portion of your total daily energy expenditure. Now, the more muscle you have, the higher basal metabolic rate you have. Okay, the better hormones you have, meaning the better of thyroid hormone, testosterone, insulin, and leptin. If those hormones are optimized, which I do, you increase basal metabolic rate. So that means you're burning more calories at rest. If you build lean muscle tissue, you optimize thyroid function, you even optimize gut health for improved nutrient absorption and even hormonal function, that increases basal metabolic rate, which then will increase total daily energy expenditure. But as we were speaking before, the women that tend to yo-yo diet and follow all these fads, when they go in, they are losing a ton of basal metabolic rate. And I would know this. I worked at a supplement shop and I did something called in-body scans. You may be familiar, whoever, what. So these in-body scans measure basal metabolic rate. And you can see that the basal metabolic rate for most females is a lot lower than it should be based off other areas like their skeletal muscle mass and stuff like that. And so what happens though is that when you continue yo-yo diet and hormonally downregulate, it slows down basal metabolic rate. So that brings up total energy expenditure. So pretty much, how do you calculate your total daily energy expenditure, also known as how many calories you burn a day? So there's equations on like a calculator that you can do, but this is just some mathematical ones that you can do. But if you go to like Harris-Benedict equation on the internet, then you can find that calculator and then you just put in your age, your gender, how tall you are, how much you weigh, and yeah, I believe that's it. So, and when you get that number, that's how many calories you're burning a day. Okay. So that was my 2,600 calories. This is non-exercise activity thermogenesis and thermal effect of food. These are both influenced, or both are in here for my total daily energy expenditure. Back to what I was saying up here. Okay, we just went over basal metabolic rate. Now we're going over these two. All right. So NEAT is pretty much how a lot of people burn. They underestimate what they do a day. So what I mean by that is that non-exercise activity thermogenesis is the calories you burn without thinking. It's unconscious movement. Like me moving my hands right now. This is burning calories. Okay. Me typing on the keyboard, me typing on my phone. Okay. Me fidgeting, me rocking around like this. This is all burning calories. And it's actually been shown that when you're in a yo-yo diet and you're under eating, you don't do this type of stuff. You just sit there like this, like a zombie. Okay. And now you're not burning enough calories to even get to weight loss. And then all other functions are down regulated for basal metabolic rate. So now it's no wonder why, okay, I can't lose weight. So it makes up a good amount. Thermal effect of food. Your thermal effect of food is how many calories you burn digesting and processing food. You burn calories eating food. If I eat a big steak and and then the other meal that I have right now is a big bowl of sweet potatoes, the food that I eat with the steak is going to burn more calories digesting it, because different types of foods require different types of amounts of energy for it to process and burn. Meaning you burn more calories digesting specific macronutrients. So we have, and I'll get into macros, but you have fats, carbs, and proteins for the most part. Alcohol, fiber, whatever, those are considered macros too. It's a whole different story. But, for the most part, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And you burn a specific amount for each macronutrient, but protein is the highest. Protein has the highest thermal effect of food. It accounts for 20 to 30% of calories burned for total daily energy expenditure. So with that being said, back to what I was saying about the analogy. If I ate 2,600 calories of protein, I'm going to burn a different amount for my body than if I eat 2,600 calories of carbohydrates. That should be noted. So obviously a summary of energy balance, weight gain is this occurs when there is an excess of calories consumed compared to calories burned. Weight gain. I will gain weight if I eat 3,000 calories a day, okay, because my total daily energy expenditure is 2,700. That means I ate in a 300 calorie surplus. Weight loss. This happens when there is a deficit of calories consumed compared to calories burned. So I burn 2,700 calories a day because that's my total daily energy expenditure. If I eat 2,500 calories a day, I will attain weight loss because I'm in a deficit of calories burned. And maintaining weight is obviously if I ate 2,700 calories a day daily. Okay. But here's the thing, that 2,700 calories, that's my maintenance, will change on a daily basis. But the thing is that's pretty much the average. And why I say it changes on a daily basis is that the activity you do, if one day I'm running a marathon, I'm training, and then the next day I'm sitting and working for 16 hours, I'm burning two different amounts of calories. So you're not always going to be 100% on. Okay. We can suggest that I'm burning 2,700 calories off of the equation that we were using, the Harris-Benedict equation. Okay, so that should be noted as well. So the formula for the success for weight loss for the rest of your life will always be this. It will always be your basal metabolic rate, which is about 70% of your total daily energy expenditure, your NEAT, me moving around, fidgeting, unconscious movement, exercise activity thermogenesis. I didn't explain this one. This one's obviously the calories burned from exercise, which is actually a lot lower than many people think. And then the thermal effect of food, meaning how much calories I'm eating. Okay. So all these numbers make my total daily energy expenditure, also known as maintenance calories, or whatever like that. So like I said, if I write it like this, it's simple, right? But it changes on a day-to-day basis depending on activity level and what type of foods I'm eating. All right. And different things like that. So obviously pinpointing your exact number for your total daily energy expenditure can be challenging. Okay, but it doesn't mean that calories out and calories in does not work. But as you see though, as being a functional health coach, you'll see there's actually times when that will not work. And for majority of women, when we're talking about women that are like 30s, 40s, 50s, okay, low fat era, whatever, Orange Theory, whatever, okay, taking a bunch of hormone like thyroid hormone or whatever, that doesn't account for this. So that should be noted. So metabolic adaptation. So as we explained before, metabolic adaptation is when your body's not responding to the caloric deficit. That means that no matter what, for some reason, my body's not losing weight at 2,500 calories, even though I should be technically in a deficit because my maintenance is 2,700 calories. And this is what's happening to many people. So we were talking about catabolism. Pretty much breaks down large molecules into smaller molecules, while anabolism builds larger structures or molecules from smaller ones. Catabolism, breaking down, anabolism, building up. Okay. Me going to lift weights, putting stimulus on my muscles, tearing muscle fibers, and then eating a bunch of protein, that's anabolic. Me going to run 26.2 miles marathon and then fasting the rest of the day, that's catabolic. So that's very easy, generic examples. But here's one that's happening to many women, and this is why they can't lose weight on a calorie deficit. They are waking up, maybe they have 200 calorie, full of sugar, espresso, coffee, whatever. Okay, they don't eat until 4 p.m. They don't eat till 4 p.m. They've only had 200 calories. They go home and they binge. Okay, they binge like 1,200 calories. Okay, so they binged 1,200 calories and then they ate 200 in the morning. So they're at 1,400 calories for the day. Their total daily energy expenditure is 1,800. So by this math, they should be able to lose weight. Okay, but they're not. And it's called metabolic adaptation. And it's happening to many women, and the science isn't looking at it. People are not watching this. They're not looking at this. And this is what's happening. And there's a reason for this. Because every single time you do that, you're losing muscle tissue. You're losing hormone balance. You're losing your metabolic capacity. All right. So the thing is that I was talking about before. If I'm eating in that caloric deficit for too long, I'm not moving my body like when I would when I have the fuel, because calories is energy, like I said. So I'm not moving the body like I would if I had the fuel. So it's been shown that when you are in a calorie deficit, you don't burn as many calories from your NEAT, which is your non-exercise thermogenesis, and your basal metabolic rate. Okay. Because the loss of weight and lean mass, because muscle tissue is metabolic. So you lose it if you're not feeding it, giving it what it needs. So like I said, research indicates that NEAT can be reduced up to 400 calories per day if someone's lost at least 10% of their body weight. This is important. Okay. With that being said, so research indicates that NEAT can be reduced up to 400 calories per day. Meaning if someone's eating a severe caloric restriction, they're not even having the audacity to move like if they were just eating in normal caloric ranges. Okay. So that's important to know, because if someone's following a really restrictive diet, then they're not moving like they normally would if they were just eating normal. So they think that they're helping themselves, but they're hurting themselves. Okay. So obviously energy expenditure during exercise decreases. And if we took this as a hormonal perspective, so losing weight, cutting calories is a form of stress in the body. Stress is good because stress brings inflammation. Inflammation brings regeneration. There's something called hormesis. Hormesis is when there's a negative response. Okay, I lift the weight, my bicep muscle fibers tear. That's bad. It's not bad, but they tear, and then they rebuild to get stronger and more hypertrophy. That's a form of hormesis. Okay. So all this is a stress in the body. All that stress does, though, is down regulate hormonal functions. Okay. Because what happens, though, is that stress becomes prolonged. It becomes chronic. And then it becomes chronic inflammation. And then that chronic inflammation then impedes on thyroid hormone conversion and synthesis. It slows down digestive secretion. You're getting acid reflux, GERD, and then it's breaking down your gut lining, just like your gut lining is like a muscle within your small intestine, which then is giving you leaky gut. Okay? All these things affect GLP-1, metabolism coming from the gut, thyroid hormone, talking to your cells on a mitochondrial level. So, hence why many people, before they get a diagnosis of whatever condition, IBS, hypothyroidism, autoimmune, PCOS, this is why the diet industry hurts people more than help people, because they end up with eating disorders, gut problems, all types of, they get PCOS, they get secondary amenorrhea, they're missing cycles because they're stressing their body for too long. They're not taking breaks. It's always a diet. Okay. So, and and they think they have to diet more because they're not losing weight, but it's metabolic adaptation, like we talked about. All right, so all of this should be explained because I just talked about what is maintenance calories, what is calorie deficits, how to even get a number. But we have to understand this education too on what are the things that also influence those numbers. See, it's not just math. There's more things that are going on, but we need to understand some of these numbers first and then build upon how these numbers can get manipulated from the external environment. All right. So hormonal changes occur that impact metabolic rate and appetite regulation. So a lot of times when we obviously cut our calories, we got ghrelin and leptin coming at us. All right. Where we want that food. Okay. Those things can obviously slow down pretty much our metabolism. And obviously, this is going more into like the mental stuff. When you have a slowdown in leptin and ghrelin, that will obviously impair your feelings of satiety. I mean, you don't feel full. All right. So obviously that's going to make you want to binge more. So this is why just some of the times it's just not the ideal thing to do right away. Okay. This is why I don't cut calories right away. You don't need to do that. And by doing that, doing a revert. It's a whole different thing, but that's why people lose weight fast. Okay. We need to, all right, thyroid hormone. Obviously, output decreases, specifically T3, which is the active form of thyroid hormone. Okay, so quick anatomy, because your endocrinologist has never told you, is that it starts in the hypothalamus and it signals to your pituitary gland. It's TRH signals to your pituitary gland, then your pituitary gland signals TSH. TSH gets usually tested. We know that. TSH signals to your thyroid gland to make majority T4 and then some T3. Okay. Now that T4 has to convert into the active form T3. All right. The activation is carried out through deiodinase enzymes. That T4 gets carried out throughout the body to peripheral tissue and other organs, and then it gets activated into the active form T3 for your cells to use them. So that's a whole process. Okay. And obviously, there's a lot of things that can go wrong there. There could be a lot of stress. There could be a lot of inflammation. There could be gut issues. There could be nutrient deficiencies. There could be toxins. There could be infections. Okay. And so none of what those things that impede on that conversion method, none of them have anything to do with just taking the hormone. But if we're thinking on the other perspective, let's talk about majority of people that actually have hypothyroidism, autoimmune, Hashimoto's. Now we have to actually get to why the immune system's overactive, and then get to that, and then start correcting all the other things that are impeding on obviously thyroid hormone. But obviously, let's get into cortisol, insulin. Your body isn't responsive to insulin. That's a big issue because if glucose can't get inside the cells to be utilized for energy, then obviously that's going to impede on fat loss. And then insulin and leptin, focusing on specific peptides really in the body to help with fat burning, like GLP-1, truthfully. Okay, so how can we actually help with this metabolic adaptation? So there's a lot of things that you could do. But dieting more, taking fat burners is not one of them. Increasing hormone is not one of them. Going keto isn't one of them. Doing a strategic refeed / reverse diet is how you do it properly to get your metabolism back. Okay. So reverse diet is a strategic approach for gradually increasing calorie intake over a time to boost metabolic rate while minimizing body fat gain. So the goal of the reverse diet is, well, when I have my thing with my clients, you guys, like, we do a refeed and you guys do lose weight because we're working on so much more. That's just this here because we're working on liver function. Okay. 15% of your BMR is housed in your liver. I'm working on thyroid function. I'm working on reducing inflammation. I'm working on flushing out the bad bacteria. I'm improving pH, alkaline acidity. All right. So that's how you get the rapid weight loss. All right. Because most people reverse diet and they'll rebound right away. But since we actually work on the internal functions, then you don't. So mostly start by increasing carbs and fats. And then they increase calories by that. But that's just some generic stuff. So macros real quick. So we talked about it. Macros, carbohydrates, proteins, fats. All right. A calorie is a unit of energy. All right. Carbohydrate has, for 1 gram of a carbohydrate, has 4 calories. So if I'm eating something with 20 carbohydrates, then we know that that food contains 80 calories. Okay. Same with the protein. And then fats contain 7 calories. Okay. Why, when I have a tablespoon of peanut butter, that's like 190 calories and it's only 16 grams of it. Because fats have more calories per gram. This is 101 calorie macros. And your doctor, they're not teaching nutrition as this. And I would know this because I was in it. Okay. And I know many people that do it. And no one's getting educated like this. Okay. So it's carbohydrates, 1 gram is 4 calories. Protein is 1 gram is 4 calories. And a fat is 1 gram of fat has 7 calories. A calorie is a unit of energy. Calories aren't bad. It's what humans do to food that's bad. Okay. Okay. Snickers, what humans do to food to make a Snicker, that's bad. But what humans do to, when they, what they do with the cows when they feed it, all that. Now, that's just actually how it works. So protein is essential. Our body needs protein for cellular function, satiety, blood sugar regulation, and thermogenesis. So, our body's processes of heat. All right. So protein has amino acids. Okay. Many people take essential amino acids. And those are the ones that we have to get because they're essential. And then there's non-essential amino acids. Proteins contain both. All right. It helps with immunity, hormones, obviously repair damaged tissue for growth, detoxification because it actually has glutathione, neurotransmitter for tryptophan. This whole neurotransmitter could be a whole topic, but obviously helping you with different neurotransmitters, like dopamine is a big one. Anabolic as well, obviously triggers muscle protein synthesis. Carbohydrates is next. So carbohydrates are technically not an essential macronutrient, but they do many things that our body needs to do. All right. So what happens though is that our body takes in carbohydrates, it breaks it down, and then it pretty much turns into glucose, sugar for our cells to use as energy. All right. So our preferred source of energy is glucose. Okay. Our brain uses glucose. All right. And even our thyroid tissue uses glucose. All right. Fiber is considered a carbohydrate. Well, technically a macro, I guess. I should correct myself. It's considered a macro. But your body doesn't digest fiber like it does carbohydrates. So technically, when you eat, there's something called net carbs, right? That's how many carbs you're eating subtracted with the fiber, because fiber doesn't actually digest. It goes into this. So what happens is you eat fiber, it feeds into the gut bacteria. The gut bacteria produces short chain fatty acids that feed the epithelial cells within inside your small intestine or your gut lining. Okay, so your fiber isn't digested like, so if I eat, like, fiber is, there's usually fiber in the carbohydrate, but those fibers that are in the carbohydrate we don't digest like we do the other fibers, right? And then obviously there's fats, which fats is an important topic because they are essential. Okay, our body needs fats, and then it needs specific fats like essential fatty acids. Obviously, they help with forming cell membranes, regulating permeability, making sure the integrity of the cell is, equipped. Obviously, energy, hormonal function, and so much more. So there are four types of fats. There's monounsaturated fats. Okay, so this is like olive oil, avocado oil, um, and those type of oils. Then there's polyunsaturated fats. Okay, those are soybean oil, the seed oils, the canola oil, palm oil. Okay, then there's the saturated fats, which are actually pretty good for you because they usually come from cholesterol, and cholesterol feeds into your hormones. Okay, so there's saturated fats, then there's trans fats. Trans fats are terrible. Don't eat them. Okay, but all right. And then there's essential fatty acids that make up those, those groups. So the essential fatty acids come from polyunsaturated fats. All right. So there are two forms of polyunsaturated fats. There's omega-3 and omega-6. The omega-6 is the ones that we don't, I can't say, like I said, it's not that we don't want them. We just need them in low amounts because they're pro-inflammatory fats like seed oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, because we want omega-3 fatty acids. Okay. ALA, EPA, DHA. Okay. And we can get this from obviously fish, whitefish, salmon, walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. So by the way that I use the diet strategies, I balance the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio to reduce inflammation, oxidative stress, and improve joint function, brain health, hormonal health, so much more. All right. So if we were going to do a pyramid on weight loss, all right, going back to just weight loss, not bringing it in now. All right, behavior and consistency, making sure every single day we're doing the inputs that we need to do to get the outputs that we want. Next is calorie deficit. We want to be in a calorie deficit. All right. Number three, that was number two. Number three is resistance training. All right. Building lean muscle tissue or keeping on as much muscle tissue as you can during the weight loss phase is inevitable. You want to do that. Okay. Protein and fiber intake. Protein has the highest thermal effect of food. Fiber will keep you satiated along with protein. Food quality, that matters, obviously. It's not if you fit your macros. It's, we need to know how good the quality food is. Nutrient timing. That's getting into the top of the pyramid now, meaning it's the least important, but it's still up, it's still in there. All right, meaning how do you time your meals? Okay. Making sure that we perhaps time our meals with carbohydrates around exercise slash movement. Okay. Maybe you can time them before bed to help with serotonin release. Because we were talking about it helps with neurotransmitters. Okay. So that, and then supplements, obviously. Those are results and questions. All right. You got out through all that. I'm going to stop this recording.